Josephine's life had always been guided by a steadfast belief in faith. For years, she clung to the idea that as long as her heart was pure and her prayers sincere, nothing could touch her. But when an old acquaintance, Marcus, resurfaces with a cryptic warning about a hidden darkness in her past, Josephine's world begins to unravel. The truth is closer than she could ever imagine, and when she uncovers the sinister secret lurking within her closest circle, her faith will be tested in ways she never thought possible. What happens when the very thing you believed in betrays you? Josephine stood on the balcony of her apartment, her fingers trembling against the cold metal railing as the city lights flickered below. Hours ago, everything had made sense. Faith had always been her anchor, simple, strong, unbreakable. But now, something felt wrong. Not just wrong, watched, followed, as if something hidden had finally decided to step out of the shadows. Her phone buzzed behind her. She hesitated before turning back inside. The screen glowed with a message from a name she hadn't seen in years. Marcus. Her chest tightened instantly. "We need to talk, tonight. It's about Yoke." The name alone made her stomach drop. Memories she had carefully buried began clawing their way back. Whispers in dim rooms, long nights filled with strange conversations, moments she had convinced herself were harmless. Yoke had once been someone she trusted deeply, someone who spoke about faith in ways that felt powerful, almost intoxicating. But Yoke had disappeared without explanation, and Josephine had convinced herself that whatever confusion lingered in her heart would fade with time. Now it was back, and it was no longer quiet. Midnight came faster than she expected. The old church stood at the edge of the city like a forgotten warning. Its broken windows stared like hollow eyes, and the wind that passed through its cracked doors sounded almost like whispers. Josephine stepped inside slowly, every instinct in her body telling her to leave. "Josephine!" Marcus emerged from the darkness, thinner than she remembered, his face drawn tight with fear. "You came," he said, his voice strained. "What is this about? Why bring up Yoke now?" Marcus glanced over his shoulder as if expecting someone or something to be listening. "Because it never stopped," he said quietly. "You just didn't see it." A cold wave passed through her. "I don't understand." "You were never meant to," Marcus replied. "That's how Yoke works." Josephine shook her head, frustration rising. "Yoke helped me when I was lost, when I didn't know what to believe." "No," Marcus snapped, stepping closer. "Yoke studied you." The words hit harder than she expected. "What? You think it was coincidence? The way Yoke always knew what to say? The way everything felt perfectly timed?" His voice dropped. "That wasn't faith, Josephine. That was manipulation." Her breathing became uneven. "No, that's not true." Marcus reached into his coat and pulled out a small, worn notebook. He handed it to her with shaking hands. "I've been tracking it for years." Josephine flipped through the pages. Names, dates, patterns, events she recognized, moments in her life where things had gone terribly wrong, moments she had blamed on chance or trials of faith. But now, seeing them written down, connected, it felt deliberate.
"No," she whispered. "This doesn't prove anything." "It proves everything," Marcus said. "You were being prepared." "For what?" He looked her directly in the eyes. "To break." The church suddenly felt smaller, suffocating. Yoke is part of something, a group. They don't attack people physically at first. They get inside your mind, your beliefs, your identity. They twist it slowly, and when the time comes, he paused. They take everything. Josephine's heart pounded violently now. "You're lying," she said, but her voice lacked conviction. "I wish I was." Silence stretched between them, heavy and unbearable. Then, from somewhere deep inside the church, a sound, soft at first, then clearer. Footsteps. Josephine froze. Marcus grabbed her arm. We have to go, now." But it was too late. A figure stepped into the faint moonlight streaming through the broken roof. Yoke. Exactly as Josephine remembered, and yet completely different. The same calm expression, the same composed posture, but the eyes were wrong. Too still, too knowing. "I was wondering how long it would take," Yoke said, voice smooth and almost amused. Josephine's throat tightened. "Why?" Yoke tilted her head slightly. "Why what?" "Why me?" she demanded, her fear turning into anger. "Why do all this?" Yoke smiled faintly. "Because you believed." The answer made no sense, and yet it did. "You had the kind of faith we needed, not shallow, not weak, deep, loyal, the kind that doesn't question." Josephine's chest rose and fell rapidly. "So you used me?" "We refined you," Yoke corrected calmly. "We tested how far belief could go before it breaks." Marcus stepped forward. "You're done. She knows now." Yoke's gaze shifted to him briefly, unimpressed. "Knowing is only the beginning," Yoke said. "The real question is, what will she do with it?" The air in the room seemed to change. The candles scattered around the space flickered to life all at once, though no one had touched them. Symbols on the ground began to glow faintly. Josephine stumbled back. "What is this?" "Truth," Yoke replied. Figures began emerging from the shadows, silent, watching, not rushing, not attacking, just waiting. "You see, faith is strongest just before it collapses." Josephine shook her head, tears forming. "You're wrong." "Am I?" Yoke took a slow step forward. "Everything you trusted led you here. Everything you believed brought you to me." The words cut deep because part of her knew they were true. Every choice, every moment, every step, it all pointed here. Marcus whispered urgently, "Don't listen. That's what they want." But Josephine couldn't look away. "Your faith isn't gone. It's just misplaced." The room seemed to close in. Voices, faint, overlapping whispers filled her ears. Doubt, fear, memories twisted into something darker. "You were never protected," Yoke continued. "You were being guided to this moment." Josephine dropped to her knees, clutching her head. "No, no, that's not true." "Then stand," Yoke said. She froze. "Stand," Yoke repeated. Slowly, trembling, Josephine pushed herself up. Her heart pounded so loudly it drowned out everything else. "You believe your faith is enough?" Yoke asked. Josephine swallowed hard. For the first time, she didn't know. And that terrified her more than anything. The shadows shifted. The figures began moving. Marcus grabbed her arm. "Fight it, Josephine. This isn't real." But it felt real. Too real. The darkness surged toward her, pressing from every direction. The whispers grew louder, sharper, turning into accusations. "You were blind. You were weak. You were chosen because you were easy." Josephine cried out, backing away. "No." "Then prove it." Yoke's voice cut through everything. Silence fell instantly. Josephine stood there, shaking, tears streaming down her face. Her faith had always been her answer, but now it felt fragile, tested, exposed. She closed her eyes, and for the first time in her life, she didn't pray out of habit. She didn't pray out of fear. She reached for something deeper, something real. "I don't understand everything," she whispered. "I don't know why this is happening, but I know what I believe." The darkness pressed closer. "I'm not perfect. My faith isn't perfect, but it's mine." The air shifted. The whispers faltered. "And I won't let you take it."
Her voice grew stronger. Something changed. A quiet strength rose from within her, not loud, not overwhelming, but steady, unshaken. The symbols on the ground flickered violently. Yolk's expression shifted for the first time. "No," Yolk murmured. The fear was still there, but it no longer controlled her. The darkness lunged and shattered. A force, unseen but undeniable, pushed outward from her, sending the shadows recoiling. The figure screamed, not in pain, but in loss, as if something they depended on had suddenly been taken away. Marcus staggered back, staring in disbelief. Yolk stumbled, their calm finally breaking. "That's impossible." Josephine stepped forward, her voice steady now. "You were wrong," she said. "Faith isn't about never being shaken." The last of the darkness began to dissolve. It's about standing, even when you are. Yolk fell to their knees as everything around them collapsed into silence. The candles went out, the symbols faded, and just like that, it was over. The church stood empty again, still, quiet. Josephine exhaled slowly, her body finally relaxing. Marcus approached cautiously. "Josephine, you did it." She shook her head gently. "No," she said softly. "I almost lost everything." She looked toward where Yolk had been. "But I didn't." Outside, the first light of dawn began to rise. And for the first time, her faith didn't feel like something she was holding on to. It felt like something that had held on to her.